A police officer has been injured in a lorry crash this morning after responding to the third day of protests by Just Stop Oil activists on the M25. It happened after a demonstrator ran onto the motorway to try and climb the gantry this morning, causing havoc during rush hour. You can see the pictures of it right there. Joining me here in the studio is Fairfuel UK lobbyist Howard Cox. Thanks for coming. And Gabby Ditton, spokesperson for Just Stop Oil. Hello, good afternoon to you. So let's talk, Gabby, about what happened and why today. It's day 3 of the M25 protests. What was going on there with the gantry?
Yes, thank you for having me. My name's Gabby. I'm 28. I'm from Norwich, and I'm really terrified about the future. We wouldn't have to be taking this kind of action if the government did its lawful duty and acted on its climate pledges. It's not doing that, and we've been left with no other choice but to cause this level of disruption.
All right, well, let me give you a chance, Howard, to respond to this. Gabby says no other choice.
It's ridiculous. I mean, Gabby is a lovely person, a really nice person. We've met in the green room and we've talked, we've got some shared interests. But one thing that's really worrying, this is a laudable aim. They're trying to actually get cleaner fuel, cleaner environment. No one would disagree with that. But their techniques, the way they're doing it, the protests they're doing, is absolutely unforgivable. I get 2,500 emails a week, and it's gone up to nearly 4,000 now, and they're all complaining about Stop Oil. They say it's ruining people's lives. And there's no need to do it. We should debate.
When you say you have no choice, why do you say that? Why do you say no choice? What's wrong with peaceful protests? What's wrong with other ways and means of trying to bring change about?
Yeah, I would say people are right to be furious as well. I completely understand why people are angry. But we have tried everything else first. Like, I cannot tell you how many strongly worded emails I've sent. I've been done petitions, I've been on marches, and that kind of stuff just doesn't even get covered in the paper. It has to be this kind of level of disruption for us to even have this conversation.
And what if the police officer had died today?
And I would have felt awful, but we can't apologise for the action we're taking because we think it's absolutely necessary for the scale of the problem that we've got.
It's against the law.
It is. Well, I believe we have a right to resist what is coming down the road because the government...
Well, not a legal right.
Well, the government has broken the law this year by not meeting... It was found in court that they're not going to meet their 1.5 pledge. That's the government breaking the law. So I believe that we have a right as citizens to resist at this level to protect our own lives.
Howard, it is true that the government keeps on failing to make its level, a pollution level that it's required, and that's been going on for absolutely ever. So long, actually, that it's barely covered. We rarely mention it. Gabby's not wrong when she says this. The government is effectively breaking the law. So do you care about that? Does that worry you in any way?
Worry is the wrong word, but I do believe the government's incompetent. And what we should be doing is sitting around the table. Gabby, Just Stop Oil, with people like me, Fairfuel UK, I represent 1.7 million supporters of 37 million drivers. They've got to get to work. You know, even your own James Well couldn't get for treatment for his cancer yesterday because of Just Stop Oil. Yeah. All those sorts of things are happening. And let me put this to you, Gabby. I mean, we're only responsible for 1% of the CO2 emissions in the world, and yet you're campaigning here. China is responsible for 30%. Why are you not campaigning over there? We all want a cleaner environment, Gabby, and that's the problem. The way you're doing it is not going to work, and what you should do is set up a Just Stop Oil political party and try and get some seats in Parliament.
Well, we don't have... We're in such a time-critical situation. We've had, like, 27 cops, for goodness sake. Emissions are just going up and up and up. So it's all very well saying, like, let's have a conversation, but we need action. It's like deeds, not words, isn't it? We need action, not just to keep talking about
But let me ask you about whether it's working in any way. Because, for example, today, on my way here, I'm talking to somebody whose friend has a child in a very special school. So this child has to be taken to school every day, really needs to go there, has to go there. They're leaving earlier and earlier. They have to drive on the M25. It is a complete living nightmare. This child is meant to get to school for 8:30, 9 a.m. He's arriving at 12, he's arriving at 1, he's exhausted, he's frustrated, he's devastated. The parents are, at their wits' end. Now, look, if that dad absolutely supports everything you say, if he absolutely subscribes to all you think and all you feel and really backs up your philosophy, what can he do anyway? He's like, for God's sake, for the third day this week, I've sat there with my extremely disabled child for hours and hours, 6, 7 hours.
I totally understand.
And even with the best will in the world, if I absolutely took their message on board, what can I do? You know, I'm a geography teacher. I'm a cook in a restaurant. So I could, you know, they could persuade me and all the other people sitting on the M25 whose entire lives are being held up, who can't do what they're doing. James Whale, who can't get to hospital. Everybody else who's in absolute trouble because of it may agree with you, but we're not the people who change the law, and we're not the people who can act. So
totally
why are you
understand.
putting ordinary people with this huge, broad brushstroke in this situation when they can't make a blind bit of difference anyway?
All the disruption will end as soon as we get our demand met. We're not trying to be popular.
But the people you're holding up can't do anything.
We've been to the oil terminals, we've been to Parliament, we've done all of these things already, and this is the only thing that gets this level of media attention.
But what difference does the media attention make, though? Even if you're front page of every paper, even if, heaven forbid, that police officer had been killed today, and that would have been a front page story, of course, and it would have gone all the way around the world. But the story would be that a man or woman is dead, that children have lost their mum or their dad, that a family is bereft and heartbroken, and that these callous people have caused this by doing something that was illegal. There'd be a massive court case. That would be the story. The story wouldn't be stop oil, and the government wouldn't be badgered into doing it by the fact that you killed a police officer, surely.
Urge people desperately to look at the reason that we have to do this.
But even if they look, what can they do? Say they look, say they agree. What can they do?
You're alienating the very people you want on your side, and that's what Vanessa's making that point.
The evidence suggests that that is not the case. The evidence suggests that although people will dislike Just Stop Oil's tactics, it's not going to put them off. It's our cause. It's for everybody. If we don't come together and deal with this problem, we are all going to be affected.
So is what you hope for,
pollution.
Gabby?
No,
we understand.
There's not going to be jobs to go to. There's not going to be food to eat. But
it's not that we don't understand. I think so. I hope so. I've talked about it endlessly on the show. I think I get it. I've got grandchildren. I want them to be able to breathe. I don't want the seas to be full of sewage. I don't want the country to be flooded out. I don't want people in Pakistan to be drowned because of floods.
Why are people not more outraged about 100 new more than 100 new licences being granted in the North Sea? That's outrageous.
But let me ask you something. Is what you want that everybody who's on the M25 gets out of their car and comes and sits down in the road and glues themselves to a bollard to help to sort of join in? Is that what you want? Do you want almost like the whole country to join the organisation and then stage a massive national protest? Is that what you're trying to do?
I would love more people to engage in the issue, but I'm not, obviously lots of people are not going to glue. I would love to see that happen, but realistically that's not going to happen.
But if that's not what you're trying to get to happen...
We need people to engage with the issue. We don't necessarily need them to join Just Stop Oil, but what we really need is the government to come out of COP and say we are not going to issue any new fossil fuel licences. They don't have to say it's because of the Just Stop Oil campaign. They can say because it's the right thing to do.